And welcome back to Subculture After Dark. Well, there is a brand new album out right now that we want you all to know about. This, of course, is from Italian symphonic metal band Temperance, and we thought we would actually get one of the members of the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this brand new amazing album. Welcome to the program, Marco.
Hey David, ciao. It's so cool to be here.
So, Marco, tell us a little bit about this brand new album. And of course, it has an amazing concept behind it. So, tell us a little bit about the journey and how it first started with this album.
So as you said, this is a concept album, and this is the very first concept album of the band. Basically, it's a full story based on, I would say, time travel and different feelings and fights, love, kind of stuff. The story started in New York because the main character of the story is called Victor, alias Michele Guaitoli, our singer. And he's a guy from US, from New York, and is not completely satisfied about his life. That's the reason why he traveled the world and he reached Tokyo, Japan. And in the temple of Asakusa, he found this little doll called Daruma. This is the main topic of the album, basically.
Yeah.
And when he touched this doll, he traveled into another dimension, another world, and another village called Hermitage. And in this place, you will meet new friends, and basically, you will change his destiny in this place.
So, tell us a little bit about how you came up with this idea. Like, where did the story originate from for you?
So basically, as you know, this album is called Hermitage, Daruma's Eyes Part 2. Because on 2018 we released one track called Daruma's Eyes Part 1. Basically on 2018 we're supposed to release the entire story in one single track, but as you can imagine, it was too long and too complicated, too many informations to put in one single track. That's the reason why we decided to split this one between the first chapter, and basically the first chapter is just a sort of explanation of the meaning of the Daruma, this doll in the Japanese culture. And then we thought, okay, it would be great if we'll have the chance sooner or later to release a full concept album and explain this story, because back then I had a big part of the story already in my mind, but then during the years the story changed a little bit. I had some more information, and for sure in the last basically 1 year and a half, I started to collect ideas here and there, because to release a concept album, the process is totally different. It's not a normal album. You have to follow the story, and you have to create some connection between the tracks. You have to give a proper voice to every character of the album. That's the reason why we have 6 characters, and it means 6 singers in this album, not only Christine, Michele, and me, but also other 3 special guests. But I think we will talk about that a little bit later, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned that doing a concept album changes the way that you work on the album and approach the album. For the musicians out there who are listening, tell us a little bit about how you found that difference to working on a normal album. Did you enjoy it? Did you find it more creative, or was it more frustrating? How did you find that process?
I think it was the most difficult album we ever done. First of all, as I said, you have to follow a sort of story. So in this album, you will find some connection between this and the first song we released 5 years ago. So basically, you will find some vocal lines taken from the first part. In the opening track of the album, there is a guitar solo, and this is also the end of the album, actually. And tons of connection like that. Was not frustrating, because I really enjoy the songwriting process of every album, but it was different. First of all, because it's more, I would say, theatrical, epic, dramatic, and probably because this is the first album I totally done by myself, first of all, and then for this one, I start to write every track on piano, and I'm a guitar player, I'm not a keyboard player at all, but I start every track on piano, and I think this stuff added even more dramatic and epic stuff on every track.
Definitely. So you mentioned as well that there are a lot of guests on this album. Tell us a little bit about how you picked who you wanted to work with on this album.
So, from the very first moment, we decided to work with singers of our generation. So, for example, Fabienne Erni from Helvetie or Illumishade, we have the same age. Also, Laura Fella from Faun. Basically, we have the same age, and for this character called Pharamond, we have Alessandra Conti from Trick or Treat and Twilight Force, and is one of my best friends in music business since 10 years or even more. And then we also have Arian Lucasten from Aerion, and is the narrator of the album, because, in this kind of concept, like Operation Mindcrime or Metal Opera from Avantasia, you had to explain something between the tracks, and I think in 6 tracks of the album, Arian did some speech to explain the situation just during the introduction or during the outro of the track.
Definitely, yeah, and that was one of the things that hit me with this album as well. But you also have people like Fabian on there from Helvetie, Laura Feller as well. What was it like bringing in all these musicians to work with on this album?
I mean, I have to say it was very easy because, first of all, with Fabienne it was very easy because she was the first option that came to our mind, and through a good friend of mine, I was in touch with her. I explained the concept, the story, and she was very happy about it. And I think her character is perfect because is this beautiful girl from Hermitage with long red hair, so perfect. And for Laura Fella from Faun, it was a little bit different because I never was a big fan of Faun, but then 1 year ago I saw them in Milano, and I was quite impressed by the show and her voice for sure. And then I was in touch with her, and as Fabi, she was very enthusiastic about the album, and her character is very cute, I would say, because she's a special creature from Hermitage. She's not a woman, but she's a sort of moth with the power of the dragon inside of her. And yeah. I think it was perfect for Laura because she is singing with Faun, and they are a fantasy folk metal band, and I think it was the perfect connection.
Definitely. You've also had new members come into the band as well. You've had Kristen come in. You've also got a brand new drummer. What has that brought to the band, and how do you feel that may have changed the band a little bit?
I have to say, less than 1 year ago, I think at the beginning of December, when the previous singer, the previous drummer, decided to left the band because they said, guys, we don't want to tour anymore. It's so stressful. We are changing our priority in life, blah, blah, blah. It was a little bit stressful because we were only 1 month before the upcoming tour, and then we were in the middle of the process of the recording of the album. But I have to say, I know it's a cliche, but there's always a sort of light at the end of the tunnel. And honestly, today I'm very happy, satisfied to have Christine and Marco Socchetto, the new drummer, because they bring so much energy, so much stuff, talent, and also nowadays I can call them very friends of mine, and also for the rest of the band. And this is the best feeling you can have. I mean, there are tons of fantastic artists and musicians out there, but I have to say nowadays it's very difficult to try to find some very cool people. And we are so lucky because we found in my opinion, one of the best singers of this generation, Christine Starkey, and she's a fantastic human being. And it's the same for Marco Sacchetto because he's such a fantastic guy. I don't know, we are very positive about it. We already played more than 50 shows together, and the next year will be the same, so very cool.
Definitely. And talking of those shows, Temperance are known for, as a band who produce an absolutely amazing live experience. Would you ever consider doing this album live in its entirety?
Yes, but since the album is, in my opinion, a little bit difficult, I think in the first months we'll play just some tracks here and there, but one of the peculiarity of the band is that for every show we change a little bit the set list, just to give a cool experience to anyone, because especially, I don't know there, but in Europe, people, they're used to travel also in other countries to see the same band for more shows, and we always thought it's a cool thing to deliver a different show every evening. But yes, honestly, for the next year, we really would love to do something special, at least one show, maybe with some choir, string quartet, as we did in the past, also to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the band. But it's still early to talk about that because now we're totally focused on the promotion of the album and then on the upcoming tours. But let's see, I really would love to do something like that.
Definitely. And is there any chance we might see you tour Australia at some stage as well?
Would be great. I mean, you know, nowadays it's very difficult especially for an European band, try to reach Australia, but also I have to say US or Latin America, on Asia after pandemic, because the costs are crazy, and for a small band like Temperance, it's very, very difficult. But yes, we already received during the years tons of requests to play there, and hopefully we'll be able to do it next year. Who knows?
That would be amazing. Well, Marco, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly. So before I go, I'd just like to ask, what would you like to say to your fans here in Australia before they sit down and listen to this album in its entirety on the 20th of October?
First of all, I have to say thanks to all of you guys, because during the years, I think we have some of the most diehard fans in the world in Australia. For example, I don't want to say the name now, but there is a very cute girl from Australia, and she traveled Europe to see us 1 year ago, and it was such a cool experience for us, because, you know, sometimes you talk also with some fans on the social network, but you never had the chance to meet these people. And then she showed up in Milano, I think, if I remember right, totally out of the blue, and it was quite a surprise also to chat in the real life. And what else? Honestly, I think Hermitage, the Daruma Part 2, is I know it's a cliche, but it's our most beautiful album, also most difficult. So don't think you have to hear this album just for one time and that's it. No, because there are tons of layers, tons of stuff to discover, and then if you wanna jump in the album, you have to spend a little bit of time just to completely understand the story, different characters, and to find all the connection between the tracks. But I think it's a cool journey, and what I have to say, welcome to this world and welcome to Hermitage.